All right, I try to do the evaluation thing here. I try to take the road less traveled. I try not to cover as a fan and push hopium. I try to tell you when I see things, I'm not always right, but when I see things that are not good and I see things that are good, I try to put it within that bundle of that moment and then talk about the future. Because for me, this thing is about winning a Super Bowl. It's not just showing up to the postseason and getting booted out and being excited. It's about, is this thing good enough to win a Super Bowl? But there's always just the now. And even Evaluator Curtis is happy. I grew up in New York, man. I don't like the Jets. I'm not the same kid or guy in my 20s and 30s. You know, I'm going to be 53, got kids and stuff, so it's not as crazy as it used to be. But in a piece of me, deep down inside, loves watching the Jets lose, loves watching the Dolphins end their season, loves that they're being called the Jest again. So we should be happy as Dolphin fans for this moment. And as football fans, this was an unbelievable game. Back and forth, a very exciting game, all the way into overtime. So there's a lot of joy that should be had now. Now, is that joy portable going forward? I think some things are very clear that are good for the future, yet you could see in this game. I think some things are not so good that very clear you could see in this game. But we got 4 more games. We got next week got Texans. Then we got Cleveland, San Fran, then Cleveland. And I think the Jets, who are going to want to beat us bad. Those 4 games should tell us everything. I said before the season started, this was the final evaluation. And here we go. We got through this game. They're not a good team. They like to screw it up in a big moment. They're undisciplined. They got some good talent. It shouldn't have been this close. For the people who like to see me wrong, I thought we'd win by 10 points. I thought it would be an easier game. I was wrong, but we won. Not a good team, but we won. And let's give these last 4 games, but it doesn't look great going forward, but let's let it play out. But there are some very good things, and I don't understand some people, and I don't understand how some people can listen to what people say that are saying some crazy stuff. And the crazy stuff revolves around Tua. This is a very good game for him. I don't understand how you could look at his play over the last couple of weeks. Maybe you could say this week you can't. That doesn't mean he doesn't have an injury history. He does. It's a concern. It's always haunting. It's always lurking. It should be. But he's been staying healthy. He's been playing smart. And so that can go a long way. I'm not saying he's the creme de la creme, the oomph, and he's the greatest thing ever since sliced bread. But you should see in this game, we have a lot of holes. We are very one-dimensional. And he carried it. Yeah, he'll play the part, and Waddle played the part, but that part is not the same without Tua. Tua adds a big piece to their part, their speed, their talent. And he did a tremendous job. He was clutch. He was clutch twice. Drove down for the field goal. You can't blame him for not going for getting the touchdown. It's ridiculous. No timeouts, 40-something seconds. And speaking of Washington, a lot of people said we lost a Packer game because of which I think is ridiculous. But if you want to say that, then you got to say he won this game. So it should be even. Kid's a good player. Nice player. I like. He's tough. And so that was good. But Tua drove down for the field goal, and he got the ball, and he just shut it down in the overtime. He had a big day, 33 of 47, one-dimensional. One-dimensional. Why? Is it really like a debatable thing anymore? I don't know how it is. But 33 for 47, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns. We only had 40% pass rush mitigation, so we weren't protecting. We put more guys in routes. He had 23% pressure. He operated good. No sacks, no big hits. 5.9 yards average depth of target that ballooned to 6.8 as of now, as the stats are now. So he was looking down, making the right reads, getting it out quick in the right spots to elevate it, so he uplifted the stuff. 76% of his throws were 2.05 seconds. That is insanely fast, and he's the guy who does it the fastest. And it's not just McDaniel, it's not just the receivers, it's who he is. He uplifts a O-line. They weren't terrible, but when you get 76% of your passes at 2.05, that's incredible. And he is a big piece. Now, speaking of the offensive line, I saw Eichenberg make some good plays. I saw Brewer make some good plays. But you could see we can't run inside. There were some very ugly plays by Eichenberg. I didn't see too many with Brewer. Lamb struggling big time. Now, my man Tehran doesn't look good. I said I was getting concerned. He looked weaker and weaker, and he just looked down. He's going to go through a lot of pain. I don't know when he's going to come back. That's the bad news. He's a big piece to what we do, and we can't get off him, I hate to say it like that, till post-June. There's a lot of money tied into that. Now, the good news is Paul looked pretty good. He wasn't great, but he looked pretty good. He wasn't playing the pass protection like Tehran, but he wasn't a real liability. They say he gave up 2 pressures, but it wasn't true pass set pressures. He's kind of getting some protections where they were rolling stuff, but Lamb struggled. He gave up 2 pressures and true pass set. Eichenberg had some good plays, some ugly plays. Brewer's pretty good on the day. He doesn't really get attacked as much. Jones had some issues. They did enough in the pass game with this very simple, easy offense. But you could see the red zone. We weren't putting touchdowns on. Why? Because we're one-dimensional. They play high leverage with their linebackers, run the 4, and play the over. Why? Because we can't run inside. We're not physical enough. And that starts with the offensive line, and it makes the quarterback's job more difficult. And it's another reason why I put context on this kid, why he played really, really well. Hill finally got off to Schneid, had a big day, 10 for 115, a touchdown. Waddle, 9 for 99. The only thing I point out is that they're very similar styles. And you can see Hill had that one out where he's not good at contested catches. If we had one guy who contested catches along with Hill or Waddle, I like that. I think we get too much in the same stuff all across the board. But they had a very big day. I think that was like kind of driven by Tua. HN, not a good day on the ground, 14 for 24, 1.7. But it's the O-line. The guy's a star. He's a stud. 6 for 45 in the pass game. I got concerned. I thought he got a concussion on that screen where he got popped. Thankfully, it was nothing. Overall, though, the offense, Ajanu disappeared, and you could see the Jets aren't good. I'll get into the Jets why they're not good. But they got talent, but their coaching staff, while it's not an A top-tier coaching staff, they were outcoached by Weaver and McDaniel, who didn't do a great job, but you could see they're limited by the talent. The talent on the squad is no bueno as a whole soup, as a whole pool. Greer didn't do a good job. I'm going to show you the Lions, what they did in 4 years and what Greer did in 5, and you're going to be astounded. Oldest team in the league. We got a lot of holes to fill. It goes back. I'm not going to get into that right now. But Tua carried this squad. And I think Weaver did enough. This defense did enough in that clutch moment. But again, if you notice the Jets too, like I try to break the Jets down. They've been doing lots of shotgun and they did lots of stupid bug. Sorry about that. Stupid bug. Get the window open, sweltering over here. And pistol. And that doesn't work in the new era. You have to be under center a certain portion. And they started to get under a center a little bit, and you could see it. They had effect. They were able to get the runoff inside a little bit more. We sit in shotgun, pistol occasionally, and it's kind of hindering us. If we could do that stuff like a lot of these other teams, look at the Lions, they're always under center practically in red zone. It would help us do a lot. And just think about what Tua would have if he had a 3-tool tight end who could block, pass block, run block, and catch. And he had an offensive line that could block inside, and he didn't have to throw for 2.05. And so I think, aside from the injury thing, there's no sane person that should say Tua sucks. Maybe he's not what you want, or he's not going to take us to Super Bowl. We got to see that. But you can't say the guy sucks. He has done a tremendous job. And I think he's a piece going forward. Clear piece. And I don't know how it's not. But the whole soup is clearly weak. Jets defense got lots of holes. They didn't have Mosley. They didn't have Sauce. They don't got a good safety group. So there's clear things saying here that this is not the right group. But you can't say that about Tua and certain pieces. Thankfully, Paul looked good. Now, that was on offense. Defense, the last couple of years has been major problems in coverage. We give up big plays. It's not the coaches. Blame Fangio. Look what we did this year. It's the same thing. It's because we don't have the right pieces. Holland, he could have ended the game with the pick. He dropped it. He's not something's really wrong going on there. Kohu's struggling a ton. Ramsey had some nice plays, but gave some stuff up. Brooks, I thought Brooks had a really good game in some areas. He had 3 missed tackles. He had 1 sack, 2 stops, or 4 stops. So he's pretty good piece for us. He's one of the best middle linebackers we have. Not perfect. But there's some problems going on with this secondary that goes well beyond the coaching staff, because it's miscommunication. There's like 2 route combos and like they can't figure it out. And so there is some deep-seated issues within the construction. And you know, even Boyer, some people say I don't like Boyer. I said Boyer had one that was way better on his side of the ball. I said he wasn't Flores, he wasn't ultra creative, but he did a pretty good job. He didn't deserve to be fired. I understood why he was going to be fired, because McDaniel wanted to choose his own DC, which was Fangio, and that didn't go well. But the defense, Seeler is a stud. Steeler had 3 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 stops. Campbell, 3 stops, 3 pressures, along with Brooks. They were the heart. Chubb, I think, got walled off a little too many times in run stop, but he's going to develop. But he's a good player for us as well. But there are holes. There's lots of holes. And there's something about the secondary. They couldn't figure out Fangio's thing. It was intellectually driven. This one's not, and they're still having those problems. So it's got to go back to the heart of the build. But the Dolphins got the win. We can say, see you tomorrow, Jets. You're done. Let's see what happens next week. Texans is going to be a very tough game. Unbelievable defense. Heavy pressure. Offense not so good, but it's because the offensive line is garbage. Offensive line makes the NFL world go round. I don't know how people still don't get it, but, you know, whatever. I think it's pretty clear. We won the game, but we won the battle, but the war's not looking good. Let's give it the 4 next weeks and see what happens. Great news, Paul. You know, he shined a little bit there, man. He did a little bit better than I thought. You know, I mother him a little bit too much, maybe. And Tua was darn good. Waddle showed up some stuff. Jono, you know, there's pieces on this offense and pieces on this defense. But you're going to need a real GM to take this thing to the next level. And it's not going to be done by Greer in 1 year. But if we win the next 4 and we go to postseason, he'll be back. And he's deservingly so. But if not, I think it's, you know, we'll evaluate, but it's not looking good for that. But this week was darn good. You got a quarterback. Maybe not exactly what you want, but just imagine if you, like I said, put a better team around him. Give him a good old line. Give A-Chain a good old line. He can run inside with Wright and see what happens. So overall, guys, be happy. Be very happy for today. Let's let the rest of the thing play out. I'll get you some more coverage later on. But let's also be sober. Jets, they should have won this one. Pitch on that first down when they were marching to the end zone and you lost 3. Like, who does that? Run it inside. Burn the timeouts. Be conservative. Don't pitch it outside. That was a dumb call. And then second down, Aaron Rodgers, you pass, and he gets like sacked or whatever. And then you have to throw the football. You throw it out the edge. It was a beautiful pass, beautiful play, but then you get taken out. And then you kick in bounds. Dumb. Glad they're dumb. But not everybody's going to be that dumb, guys. And they're going to be better talent teams and better coaching. And we can't match up. I don't think we can. We'll see, though. 4 more weeks to find out. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'll get back to you with more coverage tomorrow. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.